civil engineering needs to have a lot more empathy. And that's not just listening so that you're able to formulate your next response really quickly. It's active listening.
Welcome to another edition of the 21st Century Engineer podcast. Glad you could be with us today. I think we have a really interesting conversation for you, in part because the American Society of Civil Engineers canvasses its membership, both at the student level and at the professional level, to identify people that they feel are outstanding, representative role models, if you will. And today we have one of those with us, ASCE's 2025 New Faces of Civil Engineering was published not too long ago. And Erin Robinson is with us today to have a conversation about what she's doing, how her career is being impactful, how she is being impactful, and some of the things that she's doing to really achieve her life goals as a professional and as a person. Erin, wonderful. Glad you could be with us.
Oh, thank you for having me. Great introduction. I'll try to stay humble after that.
Well, the goal is, of course, to swell your head beyond the frame of your camera. So we'll try what we can do. Beyond that introduction, you want to introduce some the visitors, our guests, as to what you're doing, where you're working, what your interests are?
Yeah, absolutely. So, hello, my name is Erin Robinson. I am a water engineer too with Arcadis. My focus is mostly in stormwater design and resiliency planning. So, I had a conversation a little bit earlier about sewers and storms. So, very excited that there's at least a couple listeners here that will know what I'm talking about. I've been with Arcadis for about 4 years now. I started as an intern, did part-time work as I was finishing up my bachelor's in civil engineering at Georgia Tech. And then I converted to a full-time employee with the same company. I really liked their people-oriented policies, I guess. So it really kind of kept me there. And then, yeah, I've been with them ever since. And the only few changes is, of course, more responsibilities and workload, and the location that I've been working. So I started there as in the Atlanta office, and then more recently, about a year ago, I moved up to Vermont to now fully remote and working remotely, reporting to the Clifton Park, New York office.
Wow. Okay. I didn't realize you'd moved to Vermont. We could spend a
A little
whole
colder.
conversation just on that. That beautiful state. I visited it on more than one occasion. I've always loved it. I no longer hold. I applied for a faculty position there back in the dark ages. Didn't make the short list. I don't hold it against them anymore. But it is. It's what it is. On the other hand, Georgia Tech, been there many times. Go Yellow Jackets.
Yes, go Jackets.
Yeah, well, actually, our high school here, where I live, leases the yellow jacket from Georgia Tech at $1 a year to use it as their mascot. So anyway,
Well, then go to the local high school as well.
yeah, well, whether North Mississippi has more yellow jackets than Central Georgia, we won't get into a conversation on that one. But maybe the two-legged ones would be Georgia would win at. But I think the ones that really matter if you're out in the heat, more so. Okay, well good. Uh, and for what it's worth, my last podcast, I had a conversation with somebody, a structural engineer. I really have a hard time relating to them, but water people, yeah, we're quite fluid. We get it. Just
We understand.
we just go with the flow. Sorry, I just had to. I saved that. I saved that up just for this conversation.
Oh gosh. Oh no.
Yeah. Anyway, with that said, with the move, obviously, you moved up to that area for a reason. The work that has to be done. Could you kind of overview a little bit with a little more detail what it is that you're doing, what your what you're trying to do and the community impact that you see yourself having.
Yeah. So, anytime that I am working on a project in general or living in a certain place, my favorite thing to do is enroot myself in the community because I feel like I understand what's going on a lot more when I know what the culture uh, the local culture is. So, if when I was moving from Atlanta up to Burlington, Vermont, vastly different environments and cultures. Oh, it's very, very
Your
different,
time went down.
cold-wise. Yeah, yeah. And one of the first things that I wanted to do was get involved with local ASCE. So I immediately got involved with the Vermont section. And then I also really wanted to get involved with volunteering because if you know what the needs are of the community, it's a lot easier to come up with solutions and working and at least navigating your environments a little bit more. So I became the I was a membership chair for the Vermont section for my first year up there. Just now converted to secretary,
That's what you
and
get for raising your hand.
I know, no, yeah. And Vermont is a significantly smaller section than Georgia, which I was very involved with
Yeah.
their younger member group. And the Vermont section is so small that their younger member group and their section are roughly the same people. And they have a unique challenge where they have a lot of younger members that are really involved, but they don't have a lot of more experienced or legendary civil engineers that are active.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
really difficult to find interests to get more people to come out to events, hosting more events, and then finding ways to give back to the community more because I noticed that we host based on the log of events that they had for the past couple of years. They were pretty consistent in what they did. Yes, they had like a STEM outreach event every now and then. They had a lot of brewery nights to get more people out. But in terms of engaging with the community, I thought there was a deficit. So I polled a couple people in emails, and we came up with a couple different ways. Uh, oh my goodness, volunteering events to get more people out, and it was fantastic to be able to see the turnout. So I saw that people were really interested in getting more involved with the community, and so yeah, that's one way that I was able to. Sorry, go ahead. You were good to talk.
Yeah, good. Well, that engagement with the community is essential because
Mhm.
the what we do as civil engineers, civil infrastructure, uh, impacts quality of life. It
Yeah,
defines that quality of life through the transportation, telecommunications, power grid, water, wastewater, stormwater, just basically the long list of things that the average person walking down a sidewalk, which we're also responsible for,
yeah,
ignores.
yeah,
uh, and so it's important for us as civils to engage and understand that how our infrastructure impacts these individuals and do it in a way that's respectful to culture, respectful to
yeah,
community expectations, and what I've said so many times, Erin, a couple times on this podcast is in the form of a question: who is it that built the wrong side of the tracks? Everybody understands what that means, and the short answer is civil engineers, because
yeah,
we built the tracks with one expectation: get a train to go from point A to point B, ignoring habitat, ignoring species, ignoring community, and dividing or destroying all of that. We can't do that anymore.
yeah,
We have to acknowledge that, and at the same time, it's difficult to engage people that are not present. And that second piece that you talked about, the fact that most of the people in the section are most of the younger members, means simply that you have a new challenge, and I'm
yeah,
going to call it really a reverse mentoring. It in a more classical format, older members would easy for me to say, mentor younger members. But now maybe it's a matter of the younger members reaching out to the older members and say, hey, I'd like to invite you. I'd like you to be at
yeah,
the section. And by the way, would you also be my mentor? Now, the challenge I would suggest, at least from my perspective, being somebody that's a little Well, I'm follically challenged, but I'm also gray. Uh, I grew a beard to compensate for the turned, at least in part. But the idea is that reaching out to these individuals and connecting with them and asking them to be part of that. And what I started to say was that the only suggestion I'd have would be that you'd want those mentors to be people in one regard, people that you work with, but in another regard, people that you're not accountable to, people that you can ask questions of without the fear of some kind of retribution or you certainly don't want to feel limited in what you ask, and therefore you can't ask questions of people that are going to give you a performance review in 3 months.
Yeah, yeah.
It's you might want to pick two. In other words, somebody in the company, somebody outside. Somebody asks questions that make you look good. Somebody asks questions that really are meaningful. Uh,
Mhm.
or have your
Yeah,
friend.
you want to find like a good
What's your
balance.
perspective? Yeah, what's your perspective
Yeah,
on mentoring?
yeah. I'm very involved with mentoring, both laterally and horizontally. But
Oh, good.
I
Peer to peer. Yeah,
yeah,
excellent.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like professionals in civil engineering or just professionals in general need to be mentoring in four ways. One of those is going to be your early career outreach. So that's going to be your local STEM events. You can go to schools, you can engage people right in the classroom, you can go to a community farmers market and host some sort of just STEM activity, anything to get more engagement and inspire younger children to be involved in STEM. Your second one is going to be college outreach. So that can be either going to a community college local or going back to your alma mater, getting involved with any sort of mentoring there of people that are about to enter the industry because there's this big gap that I found of student support to young professional support. We need more mentoring of that honestly huge jump in life from you're still being supported in this sphere of school. You always have this little net of you have advisors and professors there to be able to give you advice, but as soon as you're let out into the industry, who is going to catch you? And it's really your own 2 feet. um
It's either that as
and
your professors or the folks you went to school with,
going back to grad
but
school.
yeah, but they're a little bit further away, or harder to find.
um So I think offering maybe that little bit of a rope or lifeline to people about to enter the industry of giving them some cold hard facts of yeah you learned academia but in the field it might be a little different, um, potentially.
No, no.
um,
Hey, at 5 decades in academia, however you want to frame it, or 41 years on the faculty, I often said, we teach history, now go forth and learn reality. So,
yeah.
yeah.
And there's a big difference from what I've talked to with my mentors of people that they've seen coming out of the industry over the years of the change in I guess curriculum of people having less hands-on skills, less in-field skills, and once they get into the field for a project, because notoriously you're going to go to a site visit to make sure that your design is correct. They just don't know what to do. They don't know how to work with the tools. They don't know how to engage with clients. Yeah, they can tell you the equation front and back, but yeah, there's that gap. So again, that lifeline. I think the third way to mentor is peer mentoring. So that's going to be your younger member groups with ASCE. That can be just outside of work or in work, doesn't matter, but making sure that the people around you are maybe experiencing the same thing. If you want to double check that you're being paid um, correctly,
You're
if
not,
you
but
want to,
that's okay. No,
what?
you're not. Don't worry about it.
Civil engineering
Yeah, the
is a
whole big,
really
the
underpaid
company I'm
field.
working with has done a lot of research on finding out just how put upon young professionals are. But we can have a conversation about that another day, and maybe one where you don't let Arcadis know that you're around or whatever.
Yeah, but the thing is though, what I really like about Arcadis is that I'm able to have very open conversations about my compensation. So if I am unhappy at any point, they are very receptive to it. So
Well,
that
excellent.
I'll say that. I'll say that.
Okay. Well,
Um,
then you can pat Arcadis on the back because well, seriously, I've got somebody else that I've done a podcast with, and some others I've worked with, and I've done a lot of
mhm.
ASC mentoring. That is not as common as we'd like to see it, and in fact, the disparities sometimes are pushed under a rug with hope nobody
Mhm.
knows them, but doesn't always happen. Good, which is a good
It's
thing.
yeah, it's the disparities of I feel like there still needs to be a converse, and I apologize for derailing the conversation about
You're not.
mentoring,
You're
but
right on
there
track.
needs
Keep
to
going.
be a there needs to be a conversation about how to effectively compensate legend employees or people that have been loyal, not legend, loyal employees, someone that has been with a company for several years. Because if
Legacy.
I were to, if I were to change legacy, yes,
Yes.
all the L's,
Yeah.
um, because if I were
Which
to
I
change
is one.
company, I could potentially get a 10 $15,000 pay raise. And but I don't want to do that. It's hard to uproot myself after working so hard to enroot myself in the community in of where I'm living and where I'm working. And then just reestablish another network somewhere at another company is it's very difficult, but um luckily Arcadis has been very receptive to compensation communication. So knock on wood that continues.
I totally understand. Two things that I've learned over the years. One is that people should define themselves rich as when getting more money would not change the way they live. When you
Hmm.
have all the money you need to do whatever it is that you want to do, recognizing what you want to do and what I want to do are two different things, and that changes over the course of life. But being rich is a process of not having to worry about money, and
Yeah.
anything beyond that is just gluttony.
Hmm.
And I'm not going to get into social politics right now, but that kind of concept is part of it. The second part of it is it goes back to that other root is recognize what is it that makes you happy. Going to
Hmm.
work and working 60 hours a week for the sake of getting more money, which you never get to spend, let alone enjoy.
Yeah.
Uh, why? I've said in numerous occasions back when before I was president of ASCE and during that period and since that your generation and the ones coming behind you, I think, really have it right. And I've argued with what I frame as the dinosaurs in our industry who believe that, oh, you should be satisfied with the idea that you're getting paid more or that you're getting a bigger bonus or that you've got a better title. And it's like,
Hmm.
why? How did that improve the quality of life for somebody
Yeah.
that doesn't get to use the title or is only recognized in a small circle or can't spend the money and improve their life, their position, or do the things they want to do, whether it be service or recreation or just being able to sleep on Saturdays?
Yeah.
All of which
My
civil engineers
in-laws
don't get to do.
my in-laws are so my partner is Brazilian, and his in-laws the culture in Brazil is very much like a lot of gift giving,
Yes.
and I am very hard to shop for because I love an experience. I love a memory. And I it's and them being several thousand miles away, they're like, okay, but like I can't really give you that. How about a shirt that looks like exactly what you want? And I'm like, okay. So
Yeah.
I think that
It's a thought
translates
that
very
counts.
well. Yeah, it's a thought that counts, and I love them dearly.
Oh,
Um,
I love it.
and I very much appreciate the shirts in case they're because they will be listening to this after. But it very much translates back to work. It's like my incoming generation is we don't necessarily want to be paid a significant amount. Yes, we know what skills we have, what they're worth, but we want to make sure that the company that we're working for recognizes our hard work. We have opportunities
Sure.
to grow both in our skills and within the company. I want to be able to learn new things and work on very cool projects. That's the meaningfulness I'm getting out of my job. It's not another zero at the end of my paycheck. And I need teams that know how to work together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of the day, it's your career. It's not the
Hmm.
company's career. And so you do have to take a certain responsibility for seeing that you develop in a way that makes you the best version of a civil engineer that you want to be, that you can be.
Yeah.
And by being in that best version, you can be a change agent, you can be a leader, both at the service level and the professional level, and you can have a voice. And
Hmm.
developing that capacity within yourself should be supported by your employer. It isn't by a lot. I
Yeah.
think that goes back to something you mentioned, or much. Well, I know you mentioned it a little earlier, and that's the loyalty issue. You know,
Yeah.
many employers, are not willing to invest in employees because they don't think they're going to be loyal. And
Yep.
in the reverse, because of that lack of investment, employees are not particularly loyal. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a chicken and egg thing here. But I also roll it back 30 years, even 40 years, where when I
Hmm.
came into the marketplace, it really was about, you go to work for somebody, you spend your life working for them, you show loyalty, you get loyalty back. And unfortunately, that's not always the case. And I'm again testament to that as well. You don't always see a
Yeah.
return on that loyalty, but what happens is then if you see yourself being traded off or abused because you're loyal, now we got another issue. So with
Yeah.
that said, and you framed it up a couple different ways, let's go back just briefly and say, in your vision, where you are today and what you've done today, what do you see as the big changes that are needed in the what I'm going to frame as the civil infrastructure profession, civil engineering, construction, architectural engineering, the
Yeah.
whole AEC community. What do you see as, from your perspective, from your landing, from your top of the mountain? What do you see as changes that are needed?
Luckily, my mountain is converging, so the peak is only increasing.
That's right.
But from what I can see, I feel like civil engineering needs to have a lot more empathy. And that's not just listening so that you're able to formulate your next response really quickly. It's active listening. There was a TED talk, and I can forward you the link later on after this,
No
that I
need.
had
I've
listened
probably
to.
seen it.
That
Well, let me jump in and say that the reason I say that, I use TED Talks in my classes
Oh, okay.
all the time. Yeah, I've gone everywhere from Simon Sinek and talking about the why, all the
Mhm.
way down to empathy is the foundation for ethics, all the way over to just how we as civil engineers uh, actively meet the rules of engagement and at the same time communicate we don't want you engaged.
Mhm.
Yeah, so feel free to share. I mean, there's always a good tech talk coming along, but yeah, I actually get emails from TED Talks. Here's 5 more that you might want to watch. But
Oh gosh.
oh yeah,
Oh,
love it to sign up for it. It's a good thing.
this is why mentoring is important because I need those links.
Yeah, yeah, actually,
Um,
it's a good option. Yeah,
but yeah,
can mentoring. I wonder why somebody doesn't think of that.
hmm. But yeah, I feel like we need to engage a little bit more with empathy. I mean, the world currently is so polarized, and I feel like there's a significant lack of active listening. Listening to understand what a person's perspective is, not necessarily to be able to refute their argument immediately. And because if you always approach a conversation with like an active ear, you can learn exactly what makes a community, a client, a person happy, what their interests are. Um, you can always learn something new from somebody. So having this like social awareness of what other interests are around you helps you navigate the world significantly more. It helps you build projects that are interdisciplinary, um, and I think we need to be paying attention to those details to build these genuine connections because, again, our industry is so people facing. Like, as you've said before, our projects are the necessity of life. They are uh, we are the industry that serves people. People cannot get to their work because the building wouldn't exist, the cars wouldn't be, not the cars, the roads wouldn't be there, the wouldn't be able to use the bathroom to and from, that's for sure. So we need to be able to understand what people actually need and and address that.
It's
That I think that's my thought.
it's also our responsibility to the public. You go back. I know you're not licensed yet, but you're moving
Hmm.
in that direction. And as you may already know, uh, from your undergraduate work or from your
Mhm.
continuing practice, at the end of the day, we license individuals with the admonition, the obligation to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the public first and
Yeah.
foremost. That doesn't mean we can't make a profit, but at the end of the day, we have to be willing to sacrifice profit for the sake of safety, for welfare, for the public. And so we've got to make sure that we understand our obligation as a true
Mhm.
professional. That's a 24-hour, 7 day a week, 365-day a year obligation. It's not something you put on when you walk in the door and take off when you leave, and
Yeah.
it's manifest in everything you do, the service that you provide, the engagement in the community, and that is all rooted, as I suggested already, which I guess is why I do it the way I do it, in
Mhm.
empathy.
Yeah.
I think empathy is the grand foundation for ethical development. And if you don't have that empathy, it's just a matter of following rules, which nobody remembers anyway.
Yeah.
It's like the
And don't
speed limit. If
necessarily
they did
apply to
remind you every
everything.
so often, you'd forget what it was. Oh, I would anyway.
When I was in high school, I joined the local Rotary group, and their motto that they taught every person coming in was service above self, because it
Oh,
doesn't really
Rotary.
matter. Yes.
That's the Rotary motto. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
I
exactly.
use, yeah, I've been there, done that too.
Gosh, your resume must be millions of pages. Like that, you are
Only
an
if I did
incredible person.
16 font. Uh,
um, but yeah, my experience with Rotary is service above self, and that's highly translates to our industry. It doesn't really matter what kind of projects I want to work on, but what's the need of the community? What is the service that we can provide there?
yeah.
I am not an expert in empathy for sure. I'm not an expert in civil engineering until I get the license. I have so much to learn, but with the skills that I have, I want to be able to improve where I'm living and working and where others have this great need. I want to be able to give those skills to improve.
Yeah. Well, first off, recognize that you are more expert than the average person walking on the street as far as civil infrastructure is concerned. So you may not be omnipotent, but you
Mhm.
certainly are an expert in what it is that can be applied. No, you don't necessarily have all the answers, and no, you don't need to make up uh, uh, fake facts, if you want to call them that. But certainly, there's never harm saying, "Well, I think this is it, but let me go check." Let
Yeah.
me ask somebody else. Again, the mentoring thing. Let me go check a book. Let me go call a prof. Let me go do some research and validate that we come up with the best solution for what your problem is. And I've advocated and continue to advocate. It's that desire to be as good as you possibly can be, and looking for those opportunities, because with that background, you can explain to the layperson, hopefully, and certainly to your boss, your
Hmm.
supervisor, your employer, uh, why this is the best solution, whether it be based on life cycle cost analysis or technological opportunities or decentralized optimization to minimize environmental impact, and the list goes on. There's no one answer, which makes this a really fun career as you're finding.
Yeah.
You get to design the solution, you get to come up with the answer, and the answer you come up with may be different than mine, but it doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means it's
True.
not as good as mine,
I'm
which
gonna
doesn't.
have the editor of the podcast cut that out.
No, okay, everybody knows me well enough by now. They know where I'm coming from, and it's certainly your expertise is outshine mine easily. So with that, what I want to move to is, as a professional and as a civil engineer, uh, do you and are you working in the context of being a professional, or do you see this as just a job, something to pay the bills?
No, so I initially didn't start in stormwater design and resiliency planning. When I was hired into Arcadis, I did process design and mostly in like the mechanical inside the fence for water and wastewater treatment plants. That's what I was fascinated with at the time. But
Pump
I
design,
knew that. Hmm?
pump specification.
Oh, and all the curves. Yeah, and
Okay.
being low on the totem pole, that's what I was working with.
Five
Um,
5-inch manuals sitting on your desk, and you leaf through them until you find the right pump curve. Oh, gotta
yeah.
love it. What?
And then calling all the vendors.
Yes, yeah, I've been
Yeah.
there, done that too. Yeah, and then occasionally getting to go and see the pump actually manufactured if you specify a big enough one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I specified a 200 CFM, no, 200 CFS pump station, pump for a pump station which had four of them, and they wanted me to actually see the machining of the impeller. And I'm going,
Oh,
I don't know
wow.
what that's going to prove, but I'll be happy to come over and see it done.
Yeah. Like, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, well, the impeller was a whole lot bigger than I was, so I wasn't going to argue with it. Anyway, go
Oh,
ahead. I'm sorry. I'll take you off the
this is
page.
why water people can't be in the same podcast.
Yeah,
Uh, um, but
that's
yeah,
right. Chad's off having a lunch. Don't worry about it. His ham sandwich is
um,
turning cold. Or
careful, he's gonna pop back in and go. "Arr." Um, but yeah, I started out in that field, but through my internship is where I started in it. I was like, okay, water is significantly more vast than what I thought it was. Water touches almost every single project, whether it's erosion and sediment control or an actual water treatment plant. Some aspect of water is going to impact a design. Um, so what I did is every time I had a set list of projects of this is what I'm working on within the field that I've been assigned to, I'm like, okay, fantastic. But I want one other little topic that's right outside my bubble to continuously learn and test myself. And over the course of the 4 years I've been with Arcadis, I've slowly seen my skills transition to stormwater design and resiliency
Mhm,
planning.
mhm.
Um, so going back to the your question about am I is this a job or am I professional? It's I am following my interests and my passions. And so this is a job for sure, but I am a working professional. I am studying, I am knowledgeable, and I will continue to try to be the best version of myself as a professional within the jobs and projects that I'm assigned.
Right. Well, good.
Um, yeah.
Well, and that is the difference to me, at least in
Mhm.
part. First off, the empathy and the professionalism and the ethics associated with being a professional. The other is continued learning, recognizing that what we do today is not what we need to be doing tomorrow, and what we did yesterday isn't necessarily a good solution for today or
Yeah.
tomorrow. And so, learning, taking what you've learned so far, and looking for new opportunities, new changes, even new paradigm. Uh, when I came through, and by the way, I've retooled. I oftentimes use computers as an example. When I started out, the first exposure to a computer was an HP 45 that took a one computer punch card and a paperclip, and you punch the holes out, ran it in, and that programmed the calculator to do a simple mathematical equation. And my first computer in college was a slide rule, and
Okay.
and and then eventually I bought my own calculator, and then eventually, and so I've gone from writing in machine language and Fortran and COBOL up to today. And when they
Hmm.
shifted that next set of languages, I said, "I'm done. Just let somebody else." Well, I wasn't programming. I wasn't writing code, so I
Yeah.
didn't need to know code. I let other people know that, and the same with my career. When I got started in water, it was all about wastewater treatment and
Hmm.
water potable water production, and then it became a matter of supply issues and watershed management. Then it became stormwater issues and water resources issues and flow control and then it became TMDLs and managing and estimating contaminant runoff as well as contaminant waste loads that can be accepted environmentally the evolution just keeps going on and now we're at a point where, as I've said so many times, we're now at a point now where we can actually take wastewater generated in a facility, treat it in the facility, return it
Hmm.
for use in the facility, and as such, instead of all these pipes and storage tanks and everything else, we arguably can build what they call in Europe urban sequoia.
Yeah.
It's a living building that produces its own water, treats its own waste, generates its own energy, manages its own temperatures, and addresses carbon capture.
A
Uh,
significant save on energy and water, that's for sure.
exactly, let alone the maintenance associated with all that massive, connected,
Mhm.
centralized infrastructure. So being
Yeah,
able to do the cost estimates to show why doing something like that would be beneficial is going to be a real challenge, but it's a real opportunity too. Okay. Um, I guess we're at a point where we need to start wrapping up. So, and I hate that, Erin. I could talk with you all day, and we may well is just going to have to stop the recording. But but
that's
oh,
for
and
the
also,
exclusive
I
paid
also have
package.
another meeting coming up here in a few minutes, so I'm going to have to get to. Maybe another time, maybe we can get together, put together another podcast on a different topic, something
I
of
love
interest to you rather than something of interest to me. But whatever. In closing, though, any key thoughts, anything that we haven't covered that you'd like to lift up to the listeners? Any ideas you'd like to amplify that we have covered?
Yeah, definitely a couple of things that we've definitely talked about, a range of topics, but I guess more in summary of the things that we've talked about is engineering with empathy, is making sure that you're understanding your client's needs and the community's needs at the having that at the forefront of your designs for projects.
Right.
Um, mentoring in four different ways. So that would be your STEM outreach for younger children. It can be any sort of STEM related event. Fantastic ideas. If you need any, let me know. Uh, that can be your peer mentoring. It can be your alma mater mentoring, and then finally, it's going to be your at work mentoring. So that's your relationship with your coworkers and your boss. And then, yeah, making sure that you
Don't
have
forget the
that.
members in the section and all of those
Yeah,
people in your
and
networking.
your peer mentor. Yeah. Oh, we got to make sure that I rep the ASCE. um, but yeah, mentoring, always make sure that you're trying to improve yourself and having your system of like checks and balances within your network. So your mentors are offering some guidance and make sure you're listening. I'm trying to think of anything else that we might have talked about. I think those are some of the big things for our people facing industry.
Super. Uh, Aaron, it's been a lot of fun. It's been educational. It's been enlightening for me. And I hope that those who have completed the podcast have learned as much or more as I have, and has enjoyed their conversation as much or more than I have. And as I always say to those who listen to the podcast, I hope they find that the time invested pays dividends in their professional development, in their daily life. And if it does, then the purpose of doing this has been validated. So, with that, again and again and again, thank you for taking time and working us into your schedule to have this conversation. All the best in Vermont. Gracious, Burlington, wonderful
I need a
place.
jacket still, and it's July.
Yeah, yeah. Go out on the lake. It's you need two jackets. It's just one.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful
Well, a
place
bug
to visit.
jacket and then a regular jacket.
Good deal. But anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in. And until the next time, please be safe.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the latest episode